and I'll introduce our first guest, and he will introduce everyone else. So this is Mr. Robert Bone.
Well, first of all, thank you very much for being here. And you should never applaud anybody before they've spoken, because you might want to take it all back at the end. So let's get friendly first of all. I was introduced as Robert, I'm really Bob, so that makes life nice and easy. Bob Bone, and my title now, officially, is the founder and chairman of London's New Year's Day Parade and Festival. I just told you not to do that. Anyway, never mind. I suppose we need to do the quick language check thing first of all. You're understanding me, it seems, and I need to tell you I'm speaking to you in English without an accent. And I bet you've all got accents, haven't you? I reckon. So, I am here to tell you a little bit about the event that I head up in London. We call it the greatest event in the greatest city in the world. This is becoming almost bizarre, because sometimes when I say the greatest city in the world, I sort of have to duck while people throw rotten tomatoes at me, because they all think that they live in the greatest city in the world. Do you think that?
No.
New York City. In that case, I'm very, very happy today that you think London can be the greatest city. So, I don't have to do anything to substantiate the fact that London is the greatest city. I'm going to leave that to my friend and our colleague and senior patron of the parade, Duncan Sands, who's going to do that in a while. I am going to try and convince you that we really are the greatest event in the world. Now, I can see that you've been to that little event there that takes place on the same day as ours. And I think you've just been to New York for St. Patrick's. Yeah. Well, that makes sense for Londonderry High School, I guess. But we are different from all of those, and I think rather better. Let's try and do substantiate things with a few facts and figures. How many people take part in our event in London every New Year's Day? Anybody know the answer?
15.
Go, have a
At least 2.
At least 2. Yes, certainly more than The answer is, on average, 8,500, but sometimes we get much nearer 10,000. Just to put that in perspective, there's a little event in New York City on Thanksgiving Day. I think it's named after a department store. Yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. And they think they're a pretty big deal. They have 4,500 incidentally, 4.5, just over 4,500. How many do we have? Over 8.5. Makes us nearly twice as big as them. Anybody who's half decent in maths can work that one out. We're twice as big. However, Macy's is a very good parade, and we watch it very, very closely every year to find out what mistakes not to make. Then, street audience. Our streets in London are a little bit narrower than yours are over in this great country of yours. But nonetheless, we still get the best part of 2/3 of a million people come out every New Year's Day to come and watch the parade from start to finish, from 12 o'clock midday until 3:30 in the afternoon. That's quite a few people. Why do they come? Why do they stay all that time to watch the event? I suppose the answer is because the weather is fantastic. Bright, sunny, warm. No, not really. The reason they come is because the entertainment on offer is absolutely terrific. And we poll our audience every year. Every year for the 38 years we've run the parade, we poll the audience to find out what they like best, what they don't like, so that we can make adjustments and so on. Every single year to date, the answer comes back that the thing people like most in our parade are the American high school and college marching bands that we have in the event. We scratched our heads a little to find out why that was the case. We rapidly came to the obvious conclusion that we don't have bands like you in the UK. I mean, we have plenty of very, very good military bands, we have plenty of good community bands, brass bands and things like that, but we don't have the dazzlingly uniformed and spectacular groups like yours. We scratched our heads a tad further to try and work out why we don't have these things, and we came to the conclusion very, very quickly that it was because we play proper football. You don't need a band to make 2.5 hours of, or 3 hours of play interesting. Then, of course, on top of that, we have the street audience, huge street audience, loving you. Absolutely, really can't get enough of you. But then, of course, we have the international TV audience. This year, the TV, the live full parade on TV reached 340 million homes around the world. Not saying everybody watched it, but that's how many homes it reached. In this country, we have signed an agreement with, just recently actually, with PBS, all the PBS stations, American Public Television, who have shown the event for us in this country for the last, 4 years, but 2 of those years were COVID years, so they didn't really count. And we've just signed up for another 3 years. So when you come on and perform on January the 1st, 2024, you will definitely be seen on television right across this country. There are 323 APT stations in the United States of America, and we are shown on 298 of them. So that's not bad. Full coverage, and I'm sure up here as well. The beauty of PBS, who we wanted to work with over and above a commercial station, is that there's no ad breaks. So it means that there's no cutting to ads when the marching bands, who don't produce any income for the TV stations, come on. So we can guarantee every single group that they will be seen in full and live on TV as they perform in our parade. Of course, we don't actually want anybody to watch it on TV. You can all watch yourselves on TV later on a recording perhaps, which we do make available to you all, because we want everybody to come to London and enjoy the full experience of a week in London, performing both in the parade and in the series of concerts that we promote every New Year, right through the week of New Year, from the 28th of December until January the 3rd. So, have I made you fairly convinced that the parade is quite a big deal?
Yes. Yeah!
That didn't sound all that positive. But, the next bit I'm going to ask you to be a little bit noisier about, if you don't mind, because my friend and colleague here, Duncan Sands, does like to feel appreciated. So when I introduce him in just 1 second now, I want you to make an awful lot of noise. He's going to tell you a bit about the parade route, a little bit about London, and then show you a video. And if you make enough noise, appreciative noise, when I ask him to speak in a moment, he may well present you formally with the invitation to come at the end. But can you please make an awful lot of noise for our senior patron, Duncan Sands.
That I get more applause than Bob. Anyway, thank you very much for your warm welcome. Delighted to be here. Sort of feel a little bit at home being in Londonderry. It's wonderful, wonderful to be here. Thank you for the snow on the ground and the sort of beautiful landscape that we saw when we were driving up from Boston this morning. So as Bob said, I'm one of the senior patrons of the London New Year's Day Parade, and my role here today is to tell you a little bit about London, which has been an international city for centuries. It's attracted people from all over the world to come live and work, and it has history and culture by the bucket load. It's the seat of our Parliament, the seat of our monarchy, and also of our government. Lots of tourist attractions there, like the London Eye, world-class museums, like the National Gallery and the Tate Modern, and then, as I said, history by the bucket load, from the Tower of London, St Paul's Cathedral, Westminster Abbey, and lots besides all of that. But probably the best way for me to set out for you about the parade is to tell you about the parade route. But before I do so, let me just ask for a show of hands from everyone. Who has been to London before? Okay, so only a handful of you, so you are in for a real treat when it comes to taking part in the London New Year's Day parade. So the parade starts on Piccadilly, outside London's Ritz Hotel. You head down Piccadilly to Piccadilly Circus, and for those of you who have seen some of the tourist ads for London, that's it's quite an iconic picture with large, Piccadilly Circus got large electronic billboards that are often feature in the ads for London across the world. From there you go down on Lower Regent Street and down onto Pall Mall, and if you really want to see where the parade route goes, you should perhaps play the London version of Monopoly, because many of the streets that appear on the Monopoly board are streets that you will go down as you take part in the London New Year's Day parade. So from Pall Mall you go into Trafalgar Square. Now this is a really, really important thing for you to listen to. Trafalgar Square is named after the Battle of Trafalgar in 1805. There is a column with the commander of that battle, Lord Nelson, on top of it. But at the bottom, and this is the key bit, there are 4 lions. Now there is a myth, and I readily admit that it is only a myth, but myths can sometimes be true, that if the bell of Big Ben, which is in Parliament at the other end of Whitehall, just a short distance away, chimes 13 times, those lions in Trafalgar Square will come alive. So, I would recommend to you that as you come into Trafalgar Square, you want to keep one ear out for the bell of Big Ben. And if you hear it chime, I would recommend that you count them. If you count them and you think that it's 13, and the lions do come alive, I don't have any good advice for you apart from perhaps to run for your lives. So from Trafalgar Square you go onto Whitehall, which literally is the seat of our government. It's bounded up and down the full length by government departments. And one of the first places that you will pass is the last remaining part of the old Whitehall Palace, which is where our kings and queens used to live before they moved to Buckingham Palace. And unbeknownst to participants in an event that took place at Banqueting House on the 30th of January 1649, advice was passed down for participants of London's New Year's Day parade. So on that day in 1649, we chopped the head off our king, King Charles I. And the night before his execution, knowing that being a January day that it might be cold, he asked for 2 undershirts to wear the next day so that he wouldn't shiver in the cold. So there you have it. You've got regal advice down the centuries from King Charles I, wrap up warmly when taking part in London's New Year's Day parade. So as you continue further down Whitehall, you come past the Cenotaph, which is our memorial, our national memorial to our war dead, and past Downing Street. Number 10 Downing Street is the official residence of our Prime Minister. And then you come into what for me is my favourite part of the parade route, and that is the finale arena. And the reason I say this is, as Bob was saying, we don't have in London the large avenues, broad avenues that you have in this country. So our streets are much narrower. And when you put, a band or several bands into that space, crowded in with all of the spectators on the street as well, and you play in the magnificent way that you do, that sound just reverberates off the buildings. It's the most wonderful, wonderful experience, and it's wonderful for you, and this is the last moment that you will play on the parade route. Now, as you come out of the finale arena, you go into Parliament Square, which, as the name suggests, is bounded by Parliament, by Westminster Abbey, and also our Supreme Court. It's full of lots of statues. Now, there's one statue there that has very personal meaning to me, and that's the statue of my great-grandfather, Winston Churchill. And what I do is to ask members of the parade, participants in the parade, as they come into Parliament Square, please, please look up at his face. You may think on a first look that he's looking at you a little bit sort of sternly, but if you take a second look, you'll see that there's a sort of schoolboy wry smile there, giving you the thumbs up for having done a great job on entertaining everyone during the parade. Now, they say that a picture tells 1,000 words. I've tried to tell you as eloquently as I can about the parade, but we have a video. If we can roll the video, you can see for yourself what the parade is really like.
Largest firework display got underway, and that international welcome extended into New Year's Day. 10,000 people took part in London's annual parade, marching and dancing through the capital.
Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Happy New Year! Oh,
This is London. This is London's New Year's Day Parade, one of the world's great street spectaculars. Live on the streets of Great Britain's capital city. Graced by performers from across the world, and the very best marching bands and cheerleaders from the United States.
The trip's been absolutely fantastic. Our students have had a really amazing experience, getting to see all sorts of different things that they normally wouldn't get to see back home, and we're really excited to be here getting ready for the parade route. We always want our students to think worldly, and I think it's so important for them to see other students doing the things that they do, and not just in their small neck of the woods, but on a global scale.
You learn a lot about yourself and what you want out of life when you travel, and getting to see another culture, another point of view, it's invaluable to any student's education.
London's New Year's Day Parade is broadcast and streamed live across the USA.
21 American marching bands are among 8,500 performers taking part.
Thousands of Americans travel to London for a famous street parade that kickstarts every new year.
They've travelled thousands of miles to be here. Some have performed at London's New Year's Day Parade before. For others, it's a brand new experience.
9,000 participants from 20 different countries.
So they send talent scouts all over the country to find the best of the best and invite them here to London. So we're really honored to be here for this.
Out of the 350,000 cheerleaders who went to summer camp, we are the top 10%. What was your favorite thing?
London Eye and the fish and chips.
And throughout the New Year week, there's a superb series of concerts in some of London's greatest and most iconic music venues, featuring the most talented young musicians from the USA and Great Britain. It's the experience of a lifetime.
Very excited. Mostly nervous.
Yeah.
I know they're excited to go to Oxford and Windsor one of our days.
Our students and I, we're having such a good time. We're here at Windsor this afternoon. We're getting ready to go into the castle. And for a lot of my students, it's their very first time. And it's so exciting.
Those lucky enough to be invited to London's New Year's Day Parade can wish many millions a Happy New Year and give the world a wave. London's New Year's Day Parade, a cherished turn-of-year tradition the world over. Become a London legend. It's awesome.
So you heard from my fellow patron Steve Summers on a video some weeks ago. You've heard from Bob. You've heard from me. Is this something you'd like to be invited to? Maybe. You know, should we try again? Do you want to be invited? Founders and patrons of London's New Year's Day Parade and Festival, the greatest event in the greatest city in the world, take enormous pleasure in extending an invitation to Londonderry High School Lancer Marching Band, New Hampshire, USA, to travel to London to star in the 2023-24 edition of this exclusive and prestigious world-famous event.
Like you accepted the invitation, yes? Good, because it's a long way to come if you say no. I'm very disappointed. We've just got one more pretty important thing to do. I mentioned to you when I was talking to you earlier that the reason people came out onto the parade route was because the weather is so fantastic in London on January the 1st. And you almost seemed to believe me, which was somewhat troubling. Never mind. On the 1st of January 2017, would you believe it, it actually rained on the parade in London. Miserable. It didn't just rain, it was a deluge. The bands and the other participants were marching down Whitehall, ankle deep in water. It was that wet. However, actually there was a terrific spirit in the parade, and it all went ahead, and it was thoroughly enjoyed by all those who took part, and unbelievably, everybody stayed to watch. We didn't lose any crowd at all. However, we didn't want it to happen again. So we went out and we asked everybody we could think of how we could ensure that it would never rain on our parade in London ever again on January the 1st. Anybody here have any ideas out of interest? We've always had something that's quite...
There's like a rain date.
So what?
A rain date, like an alternative date if it rains on the 1st.
Oh, I see what you mean. Well, you can't really have New Year's Day on another day. That's one of those small problems that we have. Go on then, give it a try.
You look at the forecast.
Well, of course you look at the forecast, but if the forecast says it's raining, there's not much you can do about it. Weather technology. Some people have suggested that, but nobody's actually said what the technology might be that will solve the problem. Politely ask it to not rain. That's probably the best answer, actually. But anyway, no, look, we have got the solution. We have got the solution. Because somebody said to us, it's obvious. It's an umbrella.
Yeah!
Hold on a minute. Now, when the person said this to us, we said, don't be stupid, because an umbrella's fine. When it's raining, it'll keep you dry. But we don't want it to rain. But then, the person who suggested the umbrella said, do you not know the story about umbrellas? And the fact of the matter is that if you keep an umbrella with you all the time, it won't rain. The minute you leave your umbrella at home and go out without it, it's going to rain. Try it. It's true. Anyway, we thought, in for a penny, in for a pound, or whatever, we'll give this a go. And so every time we have invited a group from anywhere to the parade, since the 1st of January 2017, we have presented that group with the symbolic London New Year's Day Parade umbrella. What we need now is somebody from this group who is definitely coming to London, who is infinitely trustworthy, and will be the recipient of the LMYDP.
Sandy!
We have to do this properly. Now, Laura, do you accept the responsibility of having Londonderry's parade umbrella? You do. Could you say that loud?
I accept the responsibility.
Okay, fine. All right, here we go.
Don't open it.
Now then, you heard her say very clearly, did you not?
Yes.
That she's accepted it, yes? And there was no coercion, was there? None at all. Agree?
Agree.
Right. So now, this is what you have to do, okay? This umbrella, from now, what is it, the 21st of March, roughly? Yeah, 21st of March, 2023. This umbrella must not leave your body until 3:30 p.m. on the 1st of January, 2024. Okay? Now, I'm serious about that. That's morning, noon, night. Morning, noon, night. In bed, school, doing whatever you're doing. In the shower. Everywhere you go, that way. Do you think she's likely to do that? Okay, fine. So, we have to make sure, we have to make absolutely sure that she keeps to her word and this umbrella does not leave her. How do we do it? Well, it's social media. We found a use for it. We, of course, being a major international event, are on all of these social media platforms. I don't even begin to understand them, but we are LNYDP, or at LNYDP, depending which one you're looking at. LNYDP, London's New Year's Day Parade. The last two letters, do not get them the wrong way round, or you'll find yourself communicating with the police department somewhere or other. LNYDP, at LNYDP. Now, in the unlikely event, and I know it's highly unlikely that you don't keep this umbrella with you all the time, I'm sure you've all got smartphones. Just whip it out when you see her without the umbrella, which won't happen. And take a photograph, please. Take a photograph of her without the umbrella about her person and post it to our Instagram or one of our other social media sites. Would you do that for me? Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much. Because we should, in the unlikely event it rain on January the 1st, 2024, we would know who to blame. Who was all you're going to get for all this incredible endeavour is to be the first person in Londonderry High School to be the recipient of the London New Year's Day Parade. There you go. So as they say, that's kind of all we got time for from us this morning. I'd like to thank you very, very much indeed for making a lot of noise for Duncan. He's going to be such better fun in the car now, because you gave him a warm welcome. And all I can say is we really, really, really look forward to seeing you in London at the end of this year. You're going to give us a fantastic performance for our huge international parade. And we are going to give you a terrific time in the greatest city in the world. So thank you very, very much indeed for accepting our invitation. Look forward to seeing you in a few months' time. Thank you.